Hey guys, welcome to the 4.5 notes video. Please make sure you have a pencil before you start this video. Pause it if necessary until everybody does. You may also want a multiplication chart. There are no calculators allowed on this assignment, but multiplication charts are okay. What I want you to focus on most as we start this lesson is not how to do each operation. That was yesterday's lesson. Today, our goal is to use those operations and apply them to real-world problems. Most of them will revolve around Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is coming up. There are 4 operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. At the top of the page, we will talk about how you know when each operation is necessary, but these notes are not perfect and do not describe every situation in which we use these operations. I've just made the most generalized cases I could find for you. So, for addition, most of the time when we use addition, we will use it to find the total given prices of items. So if you're going to go to the store and buy 3 different items, you would add the price of each item to find your total. We would use subtraction if we want to find, say, our total after discount. So if you have a coupon for $2 off, you would find your total and then subtract 2 because you have $2 off. Another example would be that you can also use subtraction to find your amount of change, which would be the amount paid minus your total. For example, if you get $15 worth of groceries and you pay with a $20 bill, you would get 20 minus 15 or $5 back. $5 would be your change. Division, most of the time, is used if you want to find the price per item or the price per pound. In which case you would take the total amount it is worth and divide it by the quantity or how many. Multiplication is the last one, and it also has about 2 different uses that I can easily think of for you. The first one is if you know the price and you're buying multiple items. So you might use it for the price of buying multiple of the same item. Like 3 boxes of macaroni would be 3 times the price of macaroni. And the other time that you would use multiplication is you would find the price of a weighed item. So when you go to the store, some items are priced per pound. So if you want to buy 2 pounds of apples for $1.25 per pound, you would have to do 2 times $1.25 to find the total. And I'll show you examples of each of these down below. Okay, I'm going to keep referring back to that table. I'm going to leave it at the top. And go ahead and read the first word problem out loud. If the price of your 12-pound turkey is $14.64, what is the price per pound? This would be an example where we would do division because we're looking for the price per item or the price per pound because it literally says price per pound right there. Okay, now it's not always going to necessarily use those exact words, but in this case it does. So that means we are going to end up using division. And we need to take our total, which is $14.64, and divide it by how much, which is 12 pounds. Now, when we want to do a division problem with decimals, you're going to take the second number or the bottom number and put it outside the division box and put the first number or the total inside. Then I'm going to use a multiplication chart. I know that 12 can't go into 1, but I could see how many times it goes into 14. This one's pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to pull up a multiplication chart just yet. Hopefully you know that 12 only goes into 14 once, and 12 times 1 equals 12. So write a 1 above the 4 on 14, and then we're going to subtract 12 underneath because 12 times 1 is 12. Now 14 minus 12 is 2, and you're going to go ahead and drop that 6 straight down. Now I need to know how many times 12 goes into 26. So I am going to switch to my multiplication chart. And if I look at my 12s here on the bottom row, the closest that I can get to 26 is 24, and that would be 2 times. So I'm going to put a 2 on the top and subtract 24 down here. (26 minus 24 is 2, and then I drop that 4 on down. And because of that last step, I already know that 12 times 2 is 24, and that 12 goes into 24 twice. So I'm going to put a 2 up here, and that leaves me with a remainder of 0. Now, before we finish this problem, we need to replace the decimal point. It was right here after the 4, so it's going to go right here after the 1 that we placed on top of the 4. So this would be $1.22. So if a 12-pound turkey is $14.64, it costs $1.22 per pound. All right, next problem. The ingredients needed to make corn casserole are listed below. Find the cost of making it. 1 box of cornbread, which is $1.18, and 2 cans of corn, which is $1.35 each. Since I have 2 different items and I want to find my total, that would be an example of total given the prices of items. And now that I look back at this, I realize I forgot an N right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add $1.18, and then I'm going to put 2 $1.35 on there because I'm buying 2 cans of corn. You could also multiply $1.35 times 2 and then add. I'm just going to write it twice instead. As you write out those numbers and you copy mine, notice how all of my decimal points are lined up perfectly.
I receive Eden Staples, Christian Jared, and Bryson Spear. Also need Wesley Porter.
And then I'm going to start adding the numbers on the right column first. Remember, you have to start on the right in case you need to carry over a 1. So 8 plus 5 plus 5. In my head, I would probably add the 5s first because that makes 10, and 10 plus 8 is 18. Now, I can't write a 2-digit number, so I just write the 8, and I carry the 1 up to the next column. And then I would be adding 1 plus 1, which is 2, plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 plus 3 is 8. And then I would add the numbers on the left. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So in this case, it would cost us $3.88. So in this case, it would cost us $3.88 to make this corn casserole. Okay, the next problem says, if your grandma's cheesy mashed potato recipe calls for 4 pounds of potatoes and the price is $1.13 per pound, find the cost of making this dish. In this case, we only need one thing, the potatoes. Since it is just potatoes and we're buying multiple pounds, it's the price of a weighed item. So this is going to be multiplication. We are going to multiply 4 times $1.13. Now, when we multiply decimals, what we're going to do is count the number of numbers behind the decimal point. In this case, there's 2.
Cindy Dean Stables and Kristen Jarrett.
So I'm going to multiply without the decimal, but then I have to move my answer back 2 spaces. And there's 2 ways I could write this problem. 4 times 113 or 113 times 4. The one on the right is going to be a little bit easier because otherwise I have to have 3 lines of multiplication. But they are the same thing because multiplication is commutative, meaning 4 times 2 is 8 and 2 times 4 is 8. It doesn't matter what order you multiply in. So 4 times 3 is 12, but I can only write the 2. I carry the 1 over to the next step. Remember that you're still going to do 4 times 1 for the next step, and then you add the 1 you carried over afterwards. So 4 times 1 is 1, plus the 1 we carried over is 5. And then the last one would be 4 times 1, which is 4. And then you carry the decimal point over 2, which gives you $4.52. So 4 pounds of potatoes at $1.13 per pound is $4.52. Next one, you have $2.50 off, a $2.50 off coupon and buy these items. Find your total. So if you're buying 3 separate items, you are going to add all 3 of those. Then, since you get $2.50 off, you would subtract $2.50 afterwards. So we have to do this in 2 steps. First, we need to find our original total by adding them all together. So $1.18, $6.69, $7.48. Keeping all of your decimals lined up. And then you're going to add 1 column at a time, starting with the right side. So 8 plus 9 is 17. And 17 plus 8 is 25. And I carry the 2 over. 2 plus 1 is 3. Plus 6 is 9. Plus 4 is 13. Carry the 1. Now, you don't have to write the numbers in between like I did. I am mainly putting that on there in case you're having trouble remembering where you're at. because you've got 3 numbers to add together. Sometimes 4 if you had a number carry over. And then the last column, 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 6 is 8, plus 7 is 15. And the decimal drops straight down in between the 5 and the 3. So, right now we would be paying $15.35. But don't forget, we had this $2.50 off. So now we get to subtract 2.50. Notice how my decimal point still lines up right there. And I'm going to subtract instead of add. 5 minus 0 is 5. I can't do 3 minus 5, so I'm going to borrow from the 5, turning it into a 4, and turning the 3 into 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. 4 minus 2 is 2. And there's nothing to subtract from the 1, so it stays there. So instead of $15.35, we're spending $12.85. Next question. Your mom bought you and your 2 siblings a matching set of pajamas for $17.98 each. How much did she spend if she used a $4 off coupon? Since she's buying multiple of the same thing that costs the same amount, we are going to be multiplying $17.98 times the number of pajama sets that your mom is buying. Then $4 off means we're going to subtract $4 at the end. Now, there is one slight part that is a little tricky about this problem. If your mom buys pajamas for you and your 2 siblings, how many people is that total? 3. So she has to go buy 3 sets of pajamas. So we're going to do $17.98 times 3. Remember to take multiplication 1 step at a time. 3 times 8 is 24. I haven't done it in a while, so I'm going to remind you, you can always go to 3 all the way down to 8, and that tells you that it's 24. Only write the 4, carry the 2 over. Then we're going to do 3 times 9. 3 all the way down to the 9 is 27. Write the 7. Oh, don't write the 7 because we're supposed to carry a 2. So that would be 29. Carry the 2. 7 times 3 is going to be, I'm going to switch it up on you. Start at the 7. Go down 3. 21. But we carried a 2. So 21 now turns into 23. Carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. So your mom is spending $53.94. And I don't think I did this correctly when I explained that the first time, so I'm going to repeat it. There are 2 numbers after the decimal place. So we're going to move the decimal 2 spaces. Boom. Boom. Last problem. Rainey bought a package of 8 cupcakes for $4.32. What was the price of each cupcake? So when you are looking for the price per item, you are going to be using division. So we're going to take $4.32 divided by 8 cupcakes. So 8 goes in front. Draw our little division house, as some of you call it. And 4 0.32 goes on the inside. That decimal point will stay where it is at. And I'm going to try dividing 4 by 8. Well, 8 doesn't go into 4, so I have to go 43. I look at my number chart or my multiplication chart. The closest I can get to 43, 48's too big, so I'd have to stop at 40, which is 8 times 5. So I'm going to put a 5 above the 3. And that was only 40, so I subtract 40 down here. 43 minus 40 is 3. And then you carry down the 2. 8 goes into 32 4 times. And that's 32 exactly, so our remainder is 0. Now, how would we write this? 0.54 as money would be 54 cents. So we'd probably want to put a 0 in front so that we know it's $0.54. So each cupcake cost 54 cents. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do one example from the homework with you just to practice. So make sure you've got all the ones on the note side, and we'll flip to the assignment. Here we go. I'm going to solve the very first one just to keep it easy. These answers will all go across, which means side to side. It's going to start on the left and go to the right. The down answers will go down. Okay, so the first problem says you need 3 cans of sweet potatoes, which cost $3.68 per can to make a casserole. How much will it cost you? You're buying multiple of the same thing here, cans of sweet potatoes. So we're going to take the price of 1 can, $3.68, times 3, because you need 3 cans. You could also add 3.68 3 times if you wanted to. So 8 times 3 is 24. You write the 4 and carry the 2. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 2 we carried over is 20. Write the 0, carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 2 we carried over is 11. And since there were 2 numbers after the decimal place, we're going to move the decimal back 2 spaces. 1, 2. So our final answer is $11.04. So I'm going to go find A on my crossword and write the number 11.04. Here's the crossword. A is right here at the top. And you'll notice the decimal point is already there for you. So we just have to write 11.04.